Are we going to
So
respect the FIBA World Cup MVP?
Happy rap.
we are going to see if you guys are respecting the FIBA World Cup MVP, because we are going to choose between whether we are running point Scottie, via meaning that Gary Trent will be in the starting lineup, or whether Dennis Schroeder will be in the starting lineup.
I'm going with Malachi Flynn. No.
All right, hold up. Let me get this. Let me take the ball, as sad as it might be to try and take the ball here. It's Scottie. It's Scottie. Why? What do you gain from starting Dennis Schroeder? Like, and people are like, oh, he was FIBA World Cup MVP, bro. It's so different. That's like saying, oh, Patty Mills goes crazy for Team Australia. He should be our starting point guard. No, it's not how it works. That is not how it works. It's not the same situation. Some players are more suited for certain environments, certain rule sets, certain team constructions. And Dennis Schroeder in an NBA environment is no longer a starting point guard. He was always best utilized as a sixth man, whether that was in Atlanta, whether that was in Oklahoma City. No matter where he went, he was always best utilized off the bench. And Scottie Barnes has a bit of playmaking chops. They're not great, but he can continue to develop that. And even if he's not the long-term solution at point guard, while we still have all these guys on the team taking up wing minutes, I want Scottie to be able to develop as much as possible. And while he's probably not the same caliber of player as the guy I'm going to compare him to, when Giannis first started to break out, Jason Kidd got real freaky, and he put him at point guard. Did Giannis become some great playmaker? No. But did that allow Giannis to develop different parts of his skill set and become better? And did that put him on the path to becoming the player he is today? Yes, it did. So while the exact result you might get might not look pretty now, and while it might not turn him into some 8 assists per game guy, or even close for that matter, I still think it's a worthy experiment to try. It's going to put the ball in his hands more, because at the point guard spot, you're thinking he's taking the ball up a lot more, and it just puts him in the best position to continue developing. And if that's at the expense of Dennis Schroeder, I don't care, because like I said, he's best off the bench anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going to bring up the point with Giannis, in just like the same situation. And also it's just like, it's not only that, but it's like what you have where it's like one of your other best players plays like basically a similar position. Because it's like when they did that with Giannis, it's like they had like Jabari Parker, who was kind of like a 3 or 4. And then it's like, you know what? Like, we'll throw Giannis at point guard. That's our weakest spot. Eventually, when the injuries happened to Jabari, it was more open. And it's like, that's when Giannis became a power forward, because he really started like a small forward. And like, I believe this past year, it was more so like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like more so like Scottie was used as like a small forward a lot or something like that. And then I could be wrong, but the point is like running him at point guard, this team already, it's like there's no, I guess, like nothing to lose. They already didn't make the playoffs this past year. And especially after losing like Van Vliet, even though it's like, yeah, whatever, it's like Van Vliet, but it's like they didn't really like gain a lot either at that position. Like true point, like actual players that have played point guard for years. That's why you're left with like guys like Dennis Schroeder and Malachi Flynn. So it's like, I don't think anyone's expecting anything big out of the Raptors going into next season. And that's why it's like, if Scottie Barnes like pans out at a point guard spot, and then you can allow, you know, Siakam to kind of like do more of his own thing at the power forward position, rather than like kind of meshing all those guys like into one just to make it work. I think maybe that makes more sense. So I would say Scottie Barnes as well. I really didn't even like think about this, just because I don't know, I'm not, I guess, as in tune with the Raptors community as you guys are. But yeah, I mean, because I was just thinking it was going to be Schroeder, you know. But I mean, if Scottie Barnes, if that's the option that they elect to go, I think it's the best option.
I'm for it, you know, for all the reasons that you guys just mentioned. Like, their forward positions, there's just been a log jam really since they drafted Scottie. And they made it work year one, but last year was rough. He didn't really improve much. Like you mentioned, Devin, like his defense even wasn't there. as much last season compared to his rookie year. So at this point, it's like, why not try it? Like, see if that's there in this game. You got a new head coach in there. You know, you don't really have anybody that's absolutely commanding real point guard minutes. Now, Dennis Schroeder's solid, but you know, Scottie's he's your young piece. He's your future. Like, why not see if he has that in this game? You know, just test it out. Like Gabe said, experiment. Why not? They have nothing to lose at this point. Because if the Raptors are a bad team this year, but we see Scottie can be effective with the ball in his hands, that is a very successful season in my eyes. And among other things, but yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't love Scottie at point guard. I think it's going to be a bit of a trial by fire. I think it's going to be really tough with the lack of spacing and lack of proper roster construction that's around him on this team. But the biggest thing for me is that if Dennis Schroeder is starting, Gary Trent is off the bench. And that means you have Schroeder, you have OG, you have Siakam, you have Scottie, and you have Podol. That spacing is horrendous. There is no room to operate on that offense whatsoever. And Gary Trent is not God's gift to shooting, but he's the Raptors' gift to shooting because we don't have anything else. So as much as Scottie is probably going to have some growing pains at the point guard spot, there might be some nights where it's a little bit rough. I think for the development of him and the fact that the Raptors don't have much else to look forward to right now, it makes sense, even though we don't ever pick this year, but that's its own other can of worms that we put ourselves into. But we just need that shooting. There's no way we can have OG be our only above average 3-point shooter in our starting lineup. That's just a recipe for failure. So it's got to be Scottie for his development and for the fact that we can at least have Gary Trent and OG be in the starting lineup, at least have a couple of shooters out there.